in, getting ready for some football, some baseball, some NHL, some NBA, all of it. The cool air touches your cheek. It's a little brisk this morning, Tommy. Little brisk, but I enjoyed it. I was smiling ear to ear over my cup of coffee.
This was one of those mornings where if your blanket is not fully over you, you know where it's not fully over you because of how cold it is outside. I like those mornings.
Did you sleep with the windows open last night?
No, but I was out on the back deck until, I think the fourth or fifth inning of the baseball game, which was fairly late. That was nice. It was very chilly.
Good times, man. Good times. It'll be fun when we have football games to go to with that kind of weather. That's always my favorite, to get into the stands when we're playing. And now I'm anxious for this Georgia Tech game. I just want to get there. My tack this week, you guys have heard it, have been these 5 games are the games. These are the ones. This is it. You're going to find out an awful lot about your team, your coaching staff, your thoughts on what a season it is or is not. All of it. It's all happening. Meanwhile, you got a lot of things happening as well around football. I saw where Florida State baseball released the schedule, and I know we're not going to spend a lot of time on Florida State baseball right now, but it heads up, starts February. It's not that far off, and we begin the Link Jarrett era, and I think a lot of people, frankly, are very excited about the Link Jarrett era. Probably more enthusiasm. I'm not trying to besmirch the previous era at all, but anything that's new is fresh and exciting, especially given the fact that Link is one of our own, so it's not like a guy you're like, I don't know about that guy. Everybody loves Link. It's just exciting. It's a new outlook, And if he's anywhere close to as successful as he was, as quickly as he was at Notre Dame, then I think we're going to see a lot of exciting baseball, and Florida State's going to be in the mix. And I noted that Austin Cox posted it on Warchant.com, and we're supposed to talk to Link, I think, soon, and looking forward to it, to talk to him and have an opportunity to speak with Link Jarrett, who I interviewed when he got the job. I like talking to him. He's direct. Plus, my mind's not on baseball right now, so I'm going to have to ask him to tell me, like, who do we got again? Who's back here? Is everybody who's back?
Well, based upon his meeting with the media yesterday, I think he's trying to figure out the same things. He knows the roster, but they're not trying to sort out positions just yet. It's very preliminary, which is fine. And I saw week 2 of next season. It's a little trip to Fort Worth, going to play TCU.
TCU, yeah.
That could be a decent roadie.
It would be fun. I've never gone there. I've always wanted to see that campus. I had a friend years ago that worked for Florida State that left Florida State to go to TCU at a time when the athletic program, is more than 20 years ago, when the athletic program was really burgeoning and starting to become something. And he took a job. It was a promotion and a raise. And he took a job to go to TCU at the time. And I remember the facilities being staggering. I thought, oh, man, they have invested some real money there. Maybe we get a baseball roadie. I mean, I know we've never really done that, say for the LSU. I mean, I've done it for regionals, things like that before. And the last good one was us going to Baton Rouge and watching the Noles sweep that series and the enthusiasm surrounding that series and how good that was. It's good to have a bye week this week to watch. Speaking of Baton Rouge, LSU, Ole Miss, Clemson, Syracuse. There's games that I want to watch unfettered.
I thought about going to the LSU Ole Miss game.
Did you really?
Yeah, if I could have gotten the house that we had for the baseball tournament, I would have done it, but it's not available. I'm sure that thing's booked up years in advance. But I thought it's far, but you could stop in Biloxi on the way.
You can, as we have done more than once.
Yeah, that would have been okay.
Yeah, it would be good. I should begin with football and Florida State football specifically. It would serve me well. I don't know if you saw this story, though. Because we've had on the air conversations in the past about what would you do moments when things happen that are outlandish. And you're like, would I do that? So these 2 Northwest College wrestlers, they're at a small school in Wyoming, were out in the woods and a grizzly bear approached. And one of the men was pounced upon by the grizzly bear. And the other chose not to run, but rather try to wrestle the bear to save his friend's life. I said, depends which friend. I mean, that's a toughie. It's a grizzly bear, Tom. The only time we've ever talked about it is when it was a great white shark or something. We're like, would you jump in or swim over to me if I were being attacked by a great white shark or a tiger, any shark for that matter? And we kind of laughed because we were like, I don't know, like swim.
Yeah.
Swim. You might implore.
I'm a functional swimmer. And if I had a water polo background, then I might work with you there, because then I know I'd have the ability to kick somebody real hard if I need to, because those water polo players are nasty.
Yeah.
But that's not the terrain or setting where I'm going to do you much good. In fact, I might get you to suffer more if I stick around rather than just let it be done.
So you're going to let me go? You're going to let me get bitten in half? Huh? That's the end of it. I don't know. Like,
it depends on how far the shore is away as well.
That is the other thing, right? I've seen videos of people swimming out to the shark attack to save their friend. I'm like, that is bold indeed. Swimming towards a big-ass shark.
If you're doing an excursion on a trip and there's no shore anywhere, you've got no choice. You got to fight. You got to fight your way or make it to the boat. One of the two.
I'll get back to that story. I'll get back to it because there's plenty to it. There's a lot more than just the guy decided to help his buddy out. The bear got mad at the guy that was trying to help his buddy out and decided to turn its wrath and fury upon the guy that came over to tackle him. And he was like, oh, really? This is how we're playing it? And then he pinned him against the tree and started chewing on him. And then his buddy, who has been injured by so we got a mess on our hands now. Now two guys are about to get killed by a grizzly bear.
Well, I can't wait to hear how this ended.
They're alive.
Oh, well.
But I'll I know you never know with me. Yeah. I might tell you the story where they're both dead. Yeah, no. Somebody had to be around to tell the story, but I'll circle back.
I'm happy they're alive. It's just, I didn't know if you kept the suspense going, it could have been those bodies were discovered by another hiker, or it could have been that these gentlemen themselves went on 60 Minutes to report what happened. I don't know.
Last night marked the start of the NBA regular season. I bring that up if only to tell you of whom from Florida State is on what roster, who is playing where. Scotty Barnes, of course, the reigning 2022 NBA Rookie of the Year, averaged over 15 points a game last season for Toronto. Not just 15 a game. It was 15, 7, and 8, and 3. I mean, he was a stud, obviously. Malik Beasley's with Utah. Trent Forrest is with Atlanta. I'm wearing the
all right. There you go.
Jonathan Isaac is allegedly still with Orlando. Never plays. Fiondo Cabangeli is with Boston after spending last season in the G League. The Rio Grande Valley team is who he's on. He signed a two-way contract with Boston this past July, participated in both NBA Summer League and NBA preseason. Did not see action last night in the season opener, but he's on a roster.
Good for him.
I feel like Cabangeli should be good.
Well, he should have stayed here if this is what it was going to be.
My man Terrence Mann's with the Clippers and doing really well, averaging over 10 points a game, and he's a big part of what they do. Devin Vassell is stuck in San Antonio. We would have never guessed on the night he was drafted that would be the death knell, because he was going to a place where the coach and the culture is fantastic. The problem is they're awful. They may be the worst team in the NBA. I mean, they're in the conversation along with Charlotte and a couple of others. I mean, that's a terrible team. And poor Devin Vassell is averaging nearly 12 and a half points a game, and nobody sees him. I mean, it's a toughie, and Patrick Williams is still with Chicago. Anyhow, there is all of that. And notable names missing from NBA rosters are Dwayne Bacon. He played in Europe last year, was recently waived by the Lakers. John Butler, Tom.
I saw he signed a two-way contract this past week.
Signed a two-way contract earlier this week with Portland after being waived by New Orleans, but he's not on Portland's official opening day roster, and the Blazers don't actually have a G League affiliate to even send him to. So he's watching the games at the house.
Could have been playing here this year.
Exactly, man. But people steer these kids the wrong way, and it's depressing. Anyhow, there's a lot on the periphery. I don't think there's a ton to get into with Florida State football, not without reaching. I feel like we are going to get healthy, and then we're going to find out what this team really is. It's funny. I ran into a guy last night who I know I was making a quick trip to the store, and he said, I heard the show today, and, I'm really excited about these 5 games as well, and I'm nervous. And I said, why? He goes, well, if they don't play to your expectation or they don't play to what we think they could do, then this could be a real problem. I said, yeah, but why are we all conditioned to do that right now? Is that still the hangover from the bad years? Like, why couldn't we look at these 5 games? And I mean this, I know I'm going to sound like a coach, but why couldn't we look at these 5 games as the opportunity that it is? I mean, at some point you do have to produce. So there's nothing wrong with having expectations of success.
I can make an argument for why, beyond recent history of the program, people would feel this way. And it's that in these last 3 games, including in a couple of the wins, you're putting yourself under undue pressure. the LSU finish should never be the LSU finish.
Mm-hmm.
And it cost you more than just, maybe a couple of days off your life on the tail end because of the stress. It cost you at least one win, at least one, because you dilly-dallied and Fabian Lovett gets hurt in a situation he should never be on the field. The legacy of that fourth quarter is that you're missing your best defensive player for multiple games, and you're going to be in NC State with him for sure. You're more competitive with Wake. You're more competitive with Clemson, and you were plenty competitive for much of those 2 games, but you would have been better off. And then in those 3 games, the second half NC State, we all know, but there are situations that you just don't handle well. And Coach Norvell talked about red zone inefficiencies today and self-scouting, and they've done a deep dive on, and I'm sure he didn't like the deep dive on what they've done in the red zone. So this part of the season is kind of the analogy for the situations that we come up short. These are the ones that you should take care of. But let's say that they're tied with Miami or Syracuse at 20 or 24 in the fourth quarter, because we're coming up empty in the red zone again.
But I'm going to give you...
Do you feel great about us in that situation?
Not really, not until they go out and prove it, but they might here against lesser teams. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Clemson's a good football team. Wake's a good football team. NC State's got a good defense. It's a little bit different story.
This is the aside where I say, this is me making the argument and understanding why there's trepidation.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily what I believe. I think they're going to be, like, if you look at Georgia Tech, I think it was Pick Six Previews today, put out a number of pass rush and the lack of efficiency for each offensive line. Georgia Tech is one of the bottom 6 in the country.
Yes.
And so is LSU, and so is Boston College. And we saw that we affected the quarterback greatly in those games. So great. You're off to a great start. You're going to win the defensive line battle against their offensive line next week. That's a great start.
Indeed.
So I feel okay about this stretch. I'm just saying I can understand where folks are coming from if they're saying, well, it's never easy. Yeah. Why isn't it outside of Boston College? Why has it not been easy?
I think if I'm a player, and, listen, if you're a player, you got a lot of assignments to work on a daily basis, things to get better at, ways to take care of your body, get enough rest, work towards whatever the goals are that have been laid bare for you in your particular position and all those things. I mean, we know this, right? But it is in a player's human nature. We all do it in any sport that we've ever played that involves a schedule. You look around at the other teams that you're going to face. And if I were a team, if I were a player looking at the schedule that I'm about to face, I don't know that I would breathe a sigh of relief. I'd look forward for the opportunity to beat some ass, like get some aggression out. I'd be like, man, we had to just play a 3-game stretch that by any calculation was extremely difficult. And in some cases, a matchup problem. And now we're playing games against teams that I know for a fact do not have more talent than Florida State. Not appreciably. There might be a position, there's segment groups they do. But when we line up across from Syracuse and Georgia Tech and Louisiana and even Miami right now, which is really lacking at wide receiver, their offense is wildly inconsistent. They're not getting a ton of stops against good offenses. I know that's a road game and a rivalry game, but you can't fear that. You got to play it every year. You should be excited to play that game no matter what. And then Florida can't stop anybody. I would be like, okay, this is it. Here's our chance. Let's go stomp some teams here, announce our presence with authority, if you will, finish this thing 9-3, get those kids that are going to raise the floor, and Katie bar the door, man. Now here we go. It's not, oh, but what if we lose? I know what you're saying. You're saying, yeah, I can see where fans would be like, yeah, man, but this team, and
right,
yeah,
especially when you're shooting for 4 out of 5 at minimum. Because
but I'm going to give you wiggle room for 1. So you could lose 1 to one of those teams. Yeah. You shouldn't lose 2. You shouldn't. And again, I'll have to reiterate it what, Jeff? I don't make hires and fires, guys. So I can tell you if they go 7-5, I'm going to be bitterly disappointed, given that they started 4-0 and what it would mean for the rest of the schedule. I will be bitterly disappointed. It'll be 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back. I think it's long-term a real problem for him. All of those things are my opinion, right? But I'm not telling you they're going to fire him. They won't, and they shouldn't, because they really can't. Not right now. So now, it falls off a cliff and they lose 4 out of 5. Yeah, we probably got to start over. But that's a crazy scenario. Yeah. Like in what 1%? World? Yeah, in what world are they going to lose 4 of these next 5? And if they do, would it not inform your decision all the more that things are not where they need to be?
But in terms of time given to that particular idea,
yeah, I'm not going to give it any time because It's not likely. It's not. There are a lot of things that we could dedicate our time to that have an outside chance of happening, but it's silly. I mean, it's silly. I don't think that's going to happen. Merely bringing up that I have high expectations for this team, because of what they've shown me through 7 games, is not some sort of gauntlet that says, if you don't do these things, then you are. No, it's problematic. It would be, depending on just how bad the stretch is, a talking point that would come across as extremely negative in regards to the future of that staff. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to have a winning record in these 5 games. In fact, I'm bullish. I think they're going to win at least 4 of the 5 games. I even think there's a decent chance they win all 5. Decent chance. Like I wouldn't be stunned. If they win the next 5 games, I would not be like, wow, can you believe that? I go, no, that's good. They're a good team that plays well together, that plays hard. They have flipped the culture. They are, for the most part, there's some things I have issues with. We've discussed a little bit about the defense and things like that. But for the most part, they're a well-coached team too.
What I find interesting is that this first 7 games started in one way and finished in the same way, where after the Duquesne game, I was excited to see how we run the ball. And then they went through a lull. And by the end of the Clemson game, I'm saying about the next 5.
Yeah.
Well, we can run the ball.
We can run the ball.
Let's go run the ball. Let's be about that first.
Well, Scott's going to get healthier and healthier now. He's got time to get healthy. And, and since he's come back, they're a lot better on that left side. It's really not even close. That left side's legit good. You're average at center. Your right guard is, your right tackle is, but, we find a way.
But also, they've been exposed in a way that they likely will not be for much of this next 5-game stretch.
Correct. Yes.
So that's the other thing to keep in mind.
That's why I think they're going to do well, Tom. That's why I keep saying.
I agree, but I also get where the fans are coming from. I get it. If you dilly-dally around in a couple of situations and you mismanage it, next thing you know, it's a one-score game. And look, do we love that situation right now? No.
Won a close game on the road against Louisville with your backup quarterback when you had to make plays. Won a game against LSU that has athletes that are better than yours when you had to make plays. You've won. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think it's all bad. There are moments where you could do things better. He's mentioned that. He talked about red zone inefficiency. Good. Fix it.
He knows what's up. He's not in denial.
Fix it, man.
That's the other thing. It's nice. Sometimes coaches are in denial.
He's not in denial.
He's not.
No, he's a realist. I like that. I also like that he, handles criticism just fine. He really does. I mean, he's aware of what people say out there and write and talk about. He's very aware, but he's not a child. He's not over there fretting all about that nonsense the way some coaches do. So Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, Noles fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced. And while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you and thank me later.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark Construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
For many in the workforce, their goal is to climb the company ladder. Often the climb requires a move to another city, and that's especially true in our industry. I'm Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. If you rise the ranks of our competitors, there's a good chance moving up means moving away. Why? Because they're not local companies. They're from places like Orlando, Atlanta, Salt Lake City, and even Europe. That's certainly not the case with our employees. We're a company that was founded in the Big Bend and remains locally owned. When Paul's Termite and Pest Control employees advance, they remain in the Tallahassee area. Don't trust the safety of your family and pets from disease-carrying pests or the structure of your biggest investment from termites to people who may be here today and gone tomorrow. Trust Paul's Termite and Pest Control, a company that has serviced thousands of our neighbors right here for over 50 years. Being local really does matter in our industry because local problems require local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control are the Big Bend's local experts for the elimination of termites or any other pest, and a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
It's been a while since I gave myself a real chance to meet someone new.
Susan and John are two kindred spirits who rediscovered the romance they deserve on Silver Singles, the secure dating site for singles over 50.
John is a massive foodie like me. It's been amazing to experience some of my favorite things again with someone who makes my heart beat faster. I'm so glad I got back out there.
Sign up today at silversingles.com/date. That's silversingles.com/date.
If you want to pay off high-interest debt faster, it's time to refinance with American Financing, America's home for home loans. Get a free mortgage review and learn about custom loans that can save you up to $1,000 a month. If you start soon, you may close in as fast as 10 days. Call 866-886-2026. That's 866-886-2026. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeffman Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Here, I gotta double check my
4:07 for the National League, I want to say, and then it might be 3:30. Director Matthew just chimed in, and then the evening game is Astros Yankees, which is funny because that entire fan base, the Yankee fans, are just so defeated, having been up there for a good long week in July when they hadn't gone through their slump yet, the big one,
right?
And they're saying, the Astros own us. So they've got a little brother feel, even though they're the big bad Yankees for this series. It should be really interesting, and good job to the Phillies last night to get up 1-0.
Were you watching Kyle Schwarber's home run?
I heard it. The funny thing is, I got 2 TVs on the deck in this weather. Oh, it's a slice of heaven. And I heard the contact, and I whipped my head over to that television, and I saw great call too. But I think it's Joe Davis now who does the calls for Fox. How deep will it go, or how far will it go? That's exactly a great question that anybody who was in the stands was asking.
488 feet, the second furthest ever hit in these. Did they adjust that?
430. Yeah,
this is 488 according to this. The Athletic.
No. We're talking about 2 different things.
I'm talking about how long that home
first
run
pitch,
went.
488 length of the home run.
488, buddy. That is a monster. Wilson Contreras hit one in 2017 that was further. I have vague memories of that, but this is that. 119.7 miles per hour. Wouldn't it be cool to hit a baseball that hard? Hit anything that hard.
The crazy thing is that dude in an era of universal DH was available really late in the offseason.
Yeah.
How is my question. Even if he's hitting 7 for you.
I like watching him swing too, man.
Yeah.
I just like watching him swing. There are evil intentions. It just looks like a guy that can hit a ball 488 feet. That's what it looks like. And you're like, ooh. And then I think about all those moons ago here.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember saying, oh, that's cute. They have a DJ Stewart too. We had a Kyle Schwarber light.
Yes.
Pardon me.
Yeah. His a little bit different career path. He's something. But that said, this is fun. I love these day baseball games. I love the opportunity to get off the air and go home and watch baseball like I did when I was a kid. All those things are true. And now I'm trying to mix in an even amount of everything. Lightning are playing like ass to start the year, which they always do. And that's fine. They'll probably get housed on Friday by Florida again. And then that's all right. I tune it up because the kids love it. They love it. So I got the hockey on. It just warms my soul to walk into the house and see hockey on, see baseball on, see the NBA on, and knowing that I have a full weekend of college football this week with a bye week. I love bye weeks. Things change as you get older.
Oh, well, yeah.
Lots of things change. You suddenly hate night games and love noon games. You suddenly love bye weeks when they used to be the bane of your existence. Now you're like, please give me a break. I need a break.
Yeah, that slate. I looked at it, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when we were starting to get into camp season and things like that. Kind of planning, what am I going to do the 22nd of October?
Nothing.
As it turns out, I'm going to do nothing.
That's right.
But I looked at the slate and I said, man, that's a bad one. What a bad weekend to have a bye week. This is ugly. And then as the season develops and the results happen, this is actually a very good slate. It's not the traditional park your ass Saturday,
which was last Saturday
with the brand names left and right. But if you care about the game and serious implications of maybe who's the fourth team in the college football playoff, jockeying for position for programs that are back on the rise, this is good all the way from noon to night. It's a really good slate.
You know you got football tonight, don't you?
Yeah.
App State, Georgia State, famed Kid Brewer Stadium.
Yep. And you got ACC football tomorrow night, buddy.
Well,
terrible ACC football.
But it's our next opponent, so I'm going to watch there at Bobby Dodd, Georgia Tech and Virginia. Ugh. What a showcase, huh? South Alabama and Troy are on as well. You could flip over to South Alabama and Troy. Okay. Better game. Probably a better game. Friday, you have Temple and Tulsa. Ooh. Oh, guys. And Western Kentucky, UAB. I'm starved a lot of times on a Friday when I get home. Kind of like, I'd like to watch a little football, but
it's found its way. In the beginning, Friday night football was, why the hell are they doing this on Fridays? It's Thursday night football. And now, if you don't have a good one on Friday, you do feel a little bit left out. Thankfully, we've got playoff baseball for this week.
So to your point, it starts on Saturday at noon, and I could go through myriad games that I find interesting and or imminently bettable, etc. Both perhaps. Baylor, Kansas, Clemson, Syracuse, also at noon.
Worst thing that happened to Syracuse was Clemson getting gashed on the ground this past week.
Woke them up.
Yeah, that's a problem for them.
The big rivalry that is Miami and Duke. We all know the nation loves watching Duke go to Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. A little 12:30 kick. You can feel it in the air. That's right, buddy. Duke will bring a little something to the table. We'll
that's
see.
A rivalry now.
Oh, that's a game now. Miami could lose that game. Later on, you get...
we should have somebody start the Wikipedia page for the Duke-Miami football rivalry
to piss them off.
Come on, folks.
Yeah,
somebody
do it. West Virginia, Texas. Tech is good. Oklahoma State, Texas is awesome. Ole Miss, LSU is interesting. Oregon, UCLA at 3:30. Very, very good. I know I'm a sick guy, but I'm interested in Wisconsin, Purdue. Sorry, that's just me. I will watch some. Liberty, BYU might be good. I think UTEP could straight up beat Florida Atlantic, by the way.
Okay.
Tomorrow's Redemption Thursday.
Boy. You're already mining for information with that UTEP pick.
Look at you. Look at you. Well played. Hey, does Alabama recover from their first loss of the year? Time to wake up and play Mississippi State, who'll be angry?
Interesting matchup.
Right?
A very interesting matchup given Mississippi State and how they score points.
TCU and K-State. Good football game. Well, Cal, Washington, late night maybe? No, can't get there.
That's too much.
How about Oregon State, Colorado? No, can't get there.
Ooh.
All right. ACC network action, Louisville and Pitt? Maybe.
That's the Big East special right there.
I just know that I'm going to do a whole lot of nothing, which will make my wife mad. She's like, we're not, you can't be a father and a husband on a Saturday where we don't have to worry about you doing a pregame show and covering a game. You're home here and you're just going to sit on the couch. Yep.
Yeah.
Just sit here. Right.
You got to be,
I'm here.
A bridezilla on Saturday. This is my day.
No, I tease. I kid. My wife's great about it. She knows that it's the week. She's like, okay. Kids, dads really unavailable on Saturday. He's just going to be laying around. But that's not true. I'll play a couple of games of basketball, halftime of some of the games. See if I can I still haven't lost to him, but I think we're getting to a place.
Uh-oh.
I had to give him new shoes yesterday. He's going through them now. The practicing is beginning. He's getting serious, and I don't know. I don't think I have much longer, Tom.
I'd set the over-under at 16 and a half years old. There's a little bit more strength that comes at that point.
He turns 15 next month.
Yeah, you got another year in you. You got it. Provided you don't yank a hammy.
Well, that's what I'm always worried about. Hammy, calf. I mean, you get to be my age, you just wake up in pain for no damn reason. I was talking about that yesterday.
You also have to set a limit of competitive games. So we can play fun, young man, but you get 2 cracks per day or something along those lines.
You can go after
we can play 10 times in a row. You're going to beat me because I'm
old. At some
old.
point, I'll get tired.
Yeah.
Before him. I don't know, though, man. Orange Theory's got my breath is up, man. I'm all right.
All right, 3 games. 3 games.
He doesn't like when it gets down to it. I get physical, but not illegal. He's like, why you got to post me up? I'm like, you're as tall as me now. That was okay to say when you were 12 and you were tiny. It was unfair. Well, I may be as tall as you now, but you've got me by 100 pounds.
It's called growing up, son.
You know what? Start lifting some weights. What do you want me to do? Give the weight back to you? I can't do it. Make a play.
You can have some of my weight. Go ahead. Here you go, Bryce. I'll fax it on over.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The city of Tallahassee and Leon County leaders and local skate shop Phase 1 are working with a nonprofit called Boards for Bros. This weekend, they are teaming up to give kids in the community free skateboarding lessons, workshops from professionals, and new boards to kids who cannot afford them. Their mission is to mentor kids and help them develop new skills. The Skateable Art Park event is happening this Saturday from 10 to 1 at 810 FAMU Way. There will be food trucks, live music, plus skateboarding lessons and workshops. The event is free and open to everyone in the community. TBD says one person was seriously injured during a 2-vehicle crash at the intersection of Dixie Street and Tennessee Street Tuesday afternoon. According to the Tallahassee Police Department, the crash occurred just after 4:30 p.m. The injured individual has reportedly been transported to the hospital. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. They're now open at their new location on John Knox Road. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Bright sunshine expected today with a high of 65. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet again tonight. Lows dip down to about 37. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow. Highs level off around 69. Sunny skies and calm Friday with daytime highs approaching 74. 80 Saturday. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 43.
Your next chance to win $1,000 is coming up at 3 p.m. Don't miss your chance to shake the 93.3 money tree and see what pulls out. Planted by the law offices of Face-It Brooks. Come back stronger with Face-It Brooks.
Hi, this is Justin Colvin, founder of the Medicare Help Desk. I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk radio show. Tune in every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. where I provide clear answers to all your questions about Medicare.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true. But I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg?
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3?
There are several.
So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Your dad can't help that he has old man strength and all that. That's good.
You're going to have middle-aged man strength for 20 more years than you should because of all this working out you're doing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
You fall off a cliff is what they tell me when you get old. It's one day you're not old, then you are. I don't know. We'll see. Weird things happen. I do ache all the time for no apparent reason. Just all the time.
So now that you're in your 50s, did you have a midlife moment?
No.
No? Nothing really ever happened to you like that?
I think, it took a long time to recognize that there were certain things that I simply couldn't do anymore. Like I was fast all the way into my late 30s, and I could still jump all the way into my late 30s, early 40s. But then a few things happened where it's like, I'm not fast anymore at all. And I can't jump the way that I used to jump. I can't. I can still touch rim, but that's a far cry from dunking.
So the crisis is still yet to come, is what you're saying?
No, because I hate it when I see other dudes doing it. I've seen guys have midlife crises, and they look ridiculous, and they do dumb things. Some of them are obvious. Some of them are just funny tropes, that we've seen over the years. The only thing, if we really want to get into existential crisis, I'll just tell you that you do see the finish line.
Yeah.
That happens. Now, so I've had thoughtful moments of staring off into space about how much time do I have left. Yes, that's happened. Because what happens is it's not about I can't run a 4.5 40 and I can't dunk anymore. Or, it's because you want to be here as long as you can for those that need you here or want you here or that you love. So that part is tough. So that crisis, yes.
Well, how many more football seasons can you be here for? That's that's the whole goal here.
Oh man. No, you know what? What it does do is give you I think a much better perspective on the wins and losses and program building. Since this is a daily subject, that absolutely it does do that.
Okay, so here's a question that is Florida State related and also existential. All right, ready? What's more likely? Florida State as a football program wins 29 straight games again at any point
in the rest of my life.
In the rest of your life, or that you come back as an animal after your days are done as Jeff Cameron. What's more likely? 29 straight,
29
or,
straight
or reincarnation?
29 straight is more likely.
Okay,
Tom.
all right.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah.
A little Eastern philosophy check.
Yeah. Now, it would be great. It's not going to happen because when you're dead, you're dead. But if you could come back, it would be, what animal would you choose?
Oh, man. Probably
a whale, a shark,
or like Uga. You just get
you
treated.
have a good life.
What a palatial life that is.
Yeah.
Uga wouldn't be a bad choice.
Yeah, well, you can't pick an animal, even if it's a badass animal like that is going to lose its habitat. So it's like if you're a gorilla, I don't know about running out of room out here. I don't think you're going to make it.
Polar bear.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm up to my eyeballs.
Also, just living out here in the woods ain't where it's at. No.
You want to be atop trees.
Even if you're a big ass thing, it's just a tough life. It's just a tough life.
You want to be a giant bird. Predator bird.
I don't want to be a bird at all. Birds are always fighting to keep from starving to death. Birds have it rough, man.
Okay.
Now,
if you were the apex predator of eagles?
Yeah, that's tough. But they don't have a good life. They don't live all that long.
Then you get to be a different animal. See, this is how this goes.
Keep going. I don't want to be in the ocean. The ocean seems like I'd get bored. I'm just out here swimming.
Would you rather
really can get me?
All right. Would you rather be Bevo or Ralphie if you had to choose between those two?
Bevo's got it good.
Okay, yeah.
More imposing. Bevo's good. Speaking of live mascots and live, all around college
Wouldn't
football.
want to be LSU's. That sucks.
Yeah, that's terrible. Ralphie was a disappointment. When we went to Colorado, Ralphie was a disappointment. I tell the story all the time. I was just like, look at this thing. That's not like these big ass buffalo you see it out on the plains, man. This was just it. It wasn't that impressive.
That's why Clark is named Clark. You were going to name him Ralphie, and then you saw Ralphie, and it was very disappointing.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think it would have been all right to be a dolphin. They're smart. They're in pods. They have familial relationships. They can fly. I mean, fly as in fast in the water. They love to jump waves and all that. But again, you're in the ocean. Noel Kev writes, I just want to be on the earth long enough to see old Dabo pull a hammy running down that stupid hill, tear an ACL, something, just go down hard. Well, you're going to get your wish. Noel Kev. Yeah, I know, Live Spectator. It is a female. I was disappointed about that, too. I wanted a big male buffalo, like a real buffalo, tiny-ass buffalo.
Ralphie.
Yeah,
so that's kind of like the pat name of buffalo.
Yeah, it's a female. Yeah, I found that out when I went out there. I was like, what are we doing here? Get you a real buffalo. But then again, you probably couldn't charge onto the field with those dudes holding on for dear life with a rope. If it was a big-ass male buffalo, we might see somebody get killed, which would be hilarious.
All right, let's kick off the game. Hurry up. Get him off the field.
I will tell you, by the way, I do laugh every time. It happens like once every 8 years. The Sooner Schooner gets tipped.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
People go flying, and I root for it. I think it's funny every time I see it. I'm like, yes, that guy got crushed. That's awesome.
Which tells you in the old frontier that happened a lot.
Oh, buddy, that was no life, man.
Bessie, what's wrong with you? No, Bessie.
I read a book called Empire of the Summer Moon, and talked about traveling west and encountering Comanche Indians. But beyond all that, like their life of having to go be trailblazers to go out. No. That's, you're going to die, most assuredly, a bad death. It's just not something's going to happen. You fall, break your leg, that's your ass. We're done here. Got a common cold? That's your ass. We're done here. And that might be a good way to go.
Right. You didn't need dysentery. All you needed was a cold.
Yeah.
Ball game.
Yeah. It was nuts. That's why if you ran into people that were old back then, it was like awe-inspiring. It was impossible. What? You never had pneumonia? Nothing? How did you make it this far, Grandpa? Crazy.
Weren't around a lot of other people. That's probably why. It's less crowded.
Well, that helped. But think about little things like this, like, Corey's gallbladder recently. He'd have just been agony. You're dead. What are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. Here we go. We got video of this. Is this the one that tips? Because it is fantastic when it does. Oh, that's it's bad radio. My apologies. I wish you were watching the video, everybody.
Pick up the flag.
That girl. Oh, that's a toughie. She goes flying. Look at it, all happy, smiling, and then she's
nervous. She's got nervous energy right from the get-go.
This is a pretty sharp turn. I'd be like, well, I don't like this, guys. This is not good. This feels a little. Oh no! Can we slow it down? Meanwhile, those two dudes are like, the horses are still running. Get out of the way.
She's being escorted off. Actually, she's under her own power more than I thought she'd be.
She's a beautiful woman. It is. Went flying. She was.
You too are under her power.
Oh my goodness gracious! No. So anyhow, we got off the sidetrack as you asked me if I'm going to have a crisis. I'm not going to have a crisis. I lost my hair a long time ago, so that a lot of guys like Tom Brady, they start having a crisis a lot earlier.
You just go to weddings for no reason too.
That subject is a real sports subject, and I have said this to you since before the start of the season. My man doesn't want to be here anymore. I don't know if he wants to be on this earth anymore. This guy's got real problems. So
I'm asking the wrong guy about a crisis.
Yes, my man is a mess. And watching him play this past Sunday, I'm like, look at this guy. This is not this. We're getting towards now. We'll see. We'll see. I've learned enough to know this. I've learned enough not to count him out when he's going through a stretch or a spate of poor play. But wide open throws, he's spiking in the ground, missing people like 7 feet to the left.
He wasn't there for walkthrough.
Not there for walkthrough, misses practices on the regular, just takes 11 days off in the middle of camp. We've been talking about this.
And then he'll scream his offensive lineman.
Well, exactly. Mm-hmm. Now imagine you're a 6'5", 320-pound offensive lineman. And this dude's not at Friday's practice because he's going to Bob Kraft, a piece of garbage like Bob Kraft. He's going to his, whatever that was, wedding?
Trophy wedding,
wedding, right. I wonder if he invited the girls from down there in South Florida that he visited. And then
that was for the bachelor party.
Yeah. But then you have that, and then you have he's not there for the walkthrough, and I'm this offensive lineman. You're screaming me down, and I'm thinking, well, we could have maybe fixed all of this on the Saturday walkthrough. Ass. Also, you're $180. Say another word. I mean, at that point, there's a point you cross.
This could be the first time in 20 odd years that he gets screamed down by a teammate and deserves it.
Oh, it'd be awesome. I'm rooting for it. I'm rooting for it. My man was throwing tablets in game 1. I'm like, get a hold of yourself.
Well, we got to call Bob Kraft Orchids Craft from now on. We can call him Orchids.
We can. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3. Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. This used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Football at El Jalisco, football at El Jalisco, what a combination. It's a great big celebration. It's football at El Jalisco. I can dig it. Who's playing? Oh, man, everybody. The ACC, the SEC, all the C's, and even the pros. The Bucks, the Steelers, the Giants, the Cowboys. Wow, far out. You bet, man. When the game is on, it's on at El Jalisco with incredible specials on everything from frosty cervezas to salty margaritas.
Does Margarita know?
Dios mío, not again. The best place to watch the game is El Jalisco. College, pros, Monday night, Thursday night, you name it, El Jalisco is football headquarters. And with 5 Tallahassee area locations, there's probably an El Jalisco right around the corner right now.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
The story. I can't imitate his voice, or I would have. And when I said the rest of the story, oh, I wish we had the sound bites. The stuttering wonder that was the end of the career for, and that's the rest of the story. What's his name?
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey. Yeah. Pimping. Remember those sound bites?
Vaguely. That actually was a little bit before my time.
Oh, it's so
they were
good.
Still on the board.
They're
but,
still all-time great. Yeah.
That's a Millar thing, 100%.
All right, so here's what happened. That story, I said I would circle back. The hour's ending. We're going to do it now. College wrestler, small Wyoming school, helped his teammates survive a grisly mauling over this past week in trying to wrestle the massive bear off of his friend, eventually drawing a more brutal attack to himself. They were crediting their bonds as wrestling teammates at Northwest College in Cody, Wyoming, with helping them survive the attack Saturday night. Ooh, that's not good. Night attack. Oh, I don't like it. I don't know why. I'd rather see it coming. The night attack, you can hear it off in the distance.
You feel the breath.
Oh,
of the bear.
the weight of the feet and on the leaves, and you hear it in the distance. You're like, what is that? It's not good. Brady Lowry of Cedar City, Utah, suffered a broken arm and punctured wounds in the initial attack after they were surprised by the bear while searching for antlers shed by elk and deer in the Shoshone National Forest. Now, see, what are you doing? The bear came running out of the trees. I didn't even see it until it was right there in front of me, but I could hear the crashing. Oh, that's what Lowry told ABC News. The only thing I could yell is, bear, bear. I just knew I had to protect my head, kind of fight for my life. You know, it's just life or death at that point. His teammate, Kendall Cummings of Evanston, Wyoming, tried to stop the attack on Lowry by yelling, kicking, and hitting the bear, and also pulling its fur, which would be very annoying if you were a bear. Like, hey, that would be frustrating. You ever had your hair pulled? That's not cool. I didn't want to lose my friend. It was bad, Cummings told the Desert News. There was a big old bear right on top of him. What a quote. I could have run, potentially lost a friend, or get off and save, or get him. Well, I don't like the phrasing.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Get the bear off of him.
You get the bear off.
Get the bear off
Yeah,
of him. We're cleaning up the language. The editor did not see that.
Yeah. It knocked me onto the ground, and then with its head, it pushed me on the ground up against a tree. Then it began to pin me there and began biting me. I was putting my hands in its mouth, stuffing my hands in its mouth so that it wouldn't chew my neck, but rather my arm. All right, that's reasonable.
Made a choice.
He made a choice, like the arm's going to have to suffer because the neck can't, or I'm done. Cummings said the bear eventually walked away, but only briefly, as they heard it circle back. Oh, that's cruel. You're like, we did it. We did it, Bradley. Oh, Jesus, here he comes.
That bear's like, you know what? F this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I'm a grizzly bear. I'm not going to get bitched like that. This is not happening. I heard the bear kind of grunting behind me again, and then I heard it walking quickly. Then I saw it, and it attacked me again. So matter of fact, I heard it walking, then I saw it, then it was attacking me. After the bear left the second time, Cummings pulled himself up and began looking for his teammate. In the meantime, Lowry was able to walk into an area with good cell service. I got good cell here. We're good. He called 911. Two other teammates, August Harrison and Orion Jackson, helped badly injured Cummings off the mountain, carrying him for long stretches at a time.
These names.
Both ended up at Billings, Montana clinic, where Cummings underwent emergency surgery. Neither man was listed after Tuesday. They were able to get out and all that other stuff. Other members of the wrestling team joined Jim Ziegler at the hospital, all that. I'm proud of them. They love one another. Great. Then he went on to say the one young man.
That was their coach?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of these young men.
Yeah.
It's amazing. They never give up. They always fight.
Even against a bear. Me and Cummings would both be dead if it wasn't for all of us, if it wasn't for Cummings pulling the bear's hair, if it wasn't for Harrison running up and scaring the bear away the second time so he wouldn't come back anymore. It was a team effort. We're going to be best friends for the rest of our lives.
Truth be told, I hated him before this incident. And now?
Now, that guy right there is my best friend. I'll tell you that.
You're my best friend.
Forever. The other guy's like, well, no, we're best friends forever, right?
Wyoming writhing in pain. Did we just become best friends?
Yep. Wyoming wildlife officials said they will not try to capture or relocate and kill the bear because it was a surprise attack. And there are many other bears in the area, making it difficult to know which of the bears attacked these two boys. So that's like,
they should have a lineup.
Oh, man. Hour 2 forthcoming.
more of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Russian President Vladimir Putin is imposing martial law in the 4 regions that Moscow recently annexed from Ukraine.
Putin didn't immediately spell out the measures that will be taken under the martial law, but the Russian legislation envisages it may involve restrictions on travel and public gatherings and tighter censorship, as well as giving broader powers to law enforcement agencies. Putin, too, has granted emergency powers to the heads of other Russian regions. The moves are the latest sign fighting in Ukraine isn't going Putin's way. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Iranian competitive climber Alnaz Rakabi has received a hero's welcome on her return to Tehran. She arrived back after competing in an event in South Korea without wearing a mandatory headscarf required of female athletes from the Islamic Republic. Rakabi's decision not to wear the hijab while competing on Sunday came as protests sparked by the September 16th death in custody of a 22-year-old woman in her 5th week. Also at townhall.com, a new poll finds many Americans remain pessimistic about the state of U.S. democracy.
The Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research survey found only 9% of U.S. adults think democracy is working extremely or very well. 52% say it's not. 43% of Americans say they're pessimistic about the way leaders are chosen, and only a fourth feel optimistic. Members of the GOP are now more likely than Democrats to say democracy is not working well. 68% of Republicans now versus 32% in 2020. Only about half of Americans have high confidence that votes in the upcoming midterm elections will be tallied accurately, although that's actually up from 2 years ago. Jennifer King, Washington.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon 2 factors: taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
basically breaking down Michigan's rushing attack and what Harbaugh wanted implemented from the day he got there, how long it's taken to get to this point. And the reason I bring it up is that I actually watched that massacre against Penn State in which they ran for 488 yards.
That's a good word.
Oh, my God. It's embarrassing. If you're Penn State and you line up in that game in which there is no question as to what's going to happen, both teams are going to attempt to test manhood, and you lose resoundingly 488 yards rushing and get beat up in the tunnel at halftime, it's not a good day. It's not a good day. So it is a great day for Michigan because that's how they want to win. But this is less about Michigan. I'm going to turn this towards Florida State. And back to the original talking point in the first hour early in the show where we talked about the reason we're excited and the reason we're excited about the next 5 games. It is the rushing attack, is it not? We can talk all we want about how improved we are at wide receiver and how much better Jordan is than he was a year ago. But for me, it has been the fact that for the most part, they are able to cobble together some form of a running game. And it doesn't seem to really matter who they're playing. Now, it's not always the case. There have been fits and starts and stops and all of that. But you're beginning to see evidence that they can do well. If you can run against Clemson, you can run against anybody.
Yeah, that's the best part and you don't have to do it with gimmicks.
No.
I'm not going to call counter a gimmick, but I mean, you're trying to change where the fight takes place. It's not a straight up play. And you could argue that outside zone isn't the same.
You're
it's
just
more
creating
the same,
an extra.
but it's outside zone's more physical.
Yes.
And it's more standard. And it's something we haven't been able to do in a long, long time. And look, I criticized it in the second half of NC State because I saw it more. And I thought, why are we going away from our bread and butter? But it was maybe things were working in practice because clearly it parlayed itself into something that you could hang your hat on against Clemson, which is just really interesting.
Well, and you can run some stuff from tight formations and create leverage with multiple blockers. We pull guys. We do this a lot. And then you force players in space to make decisions. Like the one who got juked out of his shoes and looked like a fool.
Right.
Now, that's a different run. I understand that. But I'm saying Florida State creates opportunities to have one-on-ones in the run game.
Oh, now you've got 2 base plays that you like. You got the counter to whatever direction, and you've got outside zone. On top of that, you can run zone read with Jordan Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Or read option. Yeah. That's a lot to deal with if you're a defensive coordinator. And if you have to cheat to stop that, because they could run it anywhere. So therefore, you got to account for both sides of the formation. Most plays, that's how you get those one-on-one matchups. You don't even have to decipher what a defense is doing. They're going to tell you because they're desperate to stop the run. That's where this could go, but they've got to go and prove it.
So one of the formations we use is one that the Ravens use for Lamar Jackson. It's also one that Michigan uses. And it stands out to me because what you end up seeing basically is it's kind of I think the Ravens call it QB bash, and it's a jet motion, and you're out of the pistol. So it's
You're
really
talking about the stuff they did with Pittman on Saturday, where they would bring Pittman in to the side.
Yes.
Yeah, they were installing that last week a lot before that game. I thought that was an interesting wrinkle.
So it's basically a counter with a loaded pistol. I think that's right. I mean, I'm talking about the
There's
formation.
a lot of those in this country.
No, you see what I'm talking about? I think that's what that is, right? They do it. There's a lead block, and they flood a side, and you can flood the weak side if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You give in the NFL, Lamar Jackson uses it to run the football effectively himself. We can do that with Jordan. And they do occasionally, but I'm seeing them blossom a little bit more in the run game. Some of the standard looks that we use, I would like to ask Dominic Robinson about this. Some of the standard looks that we use are now developing where there are more plays off of them and little, I don't even think it's eye candy.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game.
No, so the eye candy for the Pittman motion, because then he'd come to the side of Jordan Travis, he'd wait a tick or two and then snap the ball. It's not a straight give, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Right,
where he's next to him for a breath or two before the snap?
Before the snap.
They actually ran plays off of that to start against Clemson. They didn't use Pittman initially.
Mm-hmm.
They just gave them something to consider, and they ran kind of plays off of that rather than the standard, which is just give the ball to Micah.
Yeah, and to be able to run these kinds of plays from multiple formations is what I'm kind of getting at. I don't think I said that as much, but this second half ought to be a blossoming of an already impressive run game most weekends. falling back on that will be critical to Florida State's success because it sets up everything else. The big plays down the field and the passing game, all of it.
The hard part is you just wish that, and they could develop one of 2 or 3 kids, but I would break the bank for
a tight end.
Yes.
Because
these formations are all, I mean, that's the payoff is that particular player. That's the payoff is while you're worried about Micah and either Benson or Ward and Travis, then here goes this dude who's been blocking you for the first 3 plays that look exactly like this. And he's up the seam and he's wide the hell open.
Yeah. So
but you got to be able to block it first, you know, and they did okay in this game, but man, they just don't have that guy. And you would know who it is because that dude would be the number 1 player that everybody else talks about as they're preparing for Florida State.
Imagine being able to successfully run 13 personnel where you're like, I've got 3 tight ends out here and they're all capable.
Right.
We were like, well,
I'd take 2 plus Johnny, you know, on the outside. And then you go, how do I defend this with Jordan who can run? The thing is, we'll probably find that guy when we don't have a dynamic runner at quarterback. And so it's just kind of a give and take.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they'll get healthier. I do think, well, you'll have to substitute some guys. You're not wrong about that.
I saw 1 rep yesterday from 1 player who I don't think has made at least my practice observation stuff on warchant.com this whole time. And it was Drell Powers, the tight end.
Hey, the freshman.
He was in a one-on-one blocking assignment. It's the drills that they go through.
Big, strong kid.
And it was Leonard Warner, who Leonard's had a decent season. Nothing great, nothing
been
terrible,
what we thought he would
but
be.
he's been there, and he's been in the mix. And the way the drill handled him on the 1 rep, I thought, oh, why haven't I talked about 89? Has he been missing? No, I'm just not paying attention.
He just hasn't been ready, really.
But that body type is one that you already know he can catch the ball.
Day 1, we saw him, and I said, okay, that looks different.
Yeah.
At least you got a guy now that looks the part.
You mix that in with a Brian Courtney. I mean, again, the answers might be coming here.
Courtney's got to get a lot bigger, but, I'm with you.
This offense, when it's humming, and there have been points this year, I just feel like it has to be so attractive to a top 5 H-back tight end player in the recruiting community. I mean, how do you not see that when you look at this group and say, oh, my God, I mean, the film I put out there as a blocker, as a receiver, I'd be wide the hell open 3-4 times a game.
Are you surprised they haven't been able to find better usage of Joshua Burrell? Because we saw them effort to do that.
Yeah, they moved him to running back towards the end because of injuries in camp.
But, you knew what they were trying to do. They were kind of trying to create, because he's a thicker kid. He's a lot thicker. And, I think he's I know he was originally listed as like 215 or something, but I think he's like 222, 223. So he's pretty thick kid. He's only going to get bigger. I don't know. They may end up finding a role for him. I worry about it because I thought they could get something out of him at some point, and now I'm not so sure.
I think it's a big offseason upcoming for the coaching staff and for Burrell. Just to have a heart-to-heart of, here's what you could do for us. Johnny's here now. Micah Pittman's here.
Yeah.
Winston Wright. We'll see. And how many of those guys come back, we'll see. But look, they can play. You can help us doing X. If you want to do Y, then we need to part ways. But I think that's a conversation that probably has to happen.
You think Jackson West is ever going to provide them anything?
Man, he's been banged up.
All the time. He's 235 pounds, though. He's, again, when we start talking about these tight ends that we don't have to run these things that I think we could run if they were even serviceable, with Jordan being what he is and the way we set things up and the line playing so much better right now, we could really dominate and bully ball people, which is fun to watch.
Yeah, the question is, Brian Courtney is the hope that if he could be an in the backfield blocker, I'm not asking him to chip on too much of defensive lineman.
No.
But if you can get him to a reasonable level, he's on special teams right now, of where he could block somebody in space, smaller linebacker, safety, hybrid defender. He's already got the.
By the way, I do love. I'm sorry, I didn't mention this whole time we were talking about tight ends. I do love Marcus Douglas. I like him a lot. I think he's a problem for people in the long run. I think by next year, he's a legitimately good. That run in this game was very big for him.
3-4 broken tackles.
Well, he's gigantic. He's a gigantic man who moves well for his size. You unleash him against zones, and he's a problem for people.
Yes, just the problem is there are a couple of plays more than a couple, but you've got to get to a point to make a block. The way this offense is schemed, and the way that position, it's the demands of that position, period, in this offense is, it's not about straight ahead blocking. You're not Gronk on the end of the line and we're going to run it right behind you. It's you got to move, get to a place quickly, have your feet underneath you, and execute a block. And we just don't have a lot of guys who are agile enough to pull that
Not
off.
athletic
And that's
enough to
where
do
he's
it.
got to get better. If he does, then he could be the guy.
Well, I actually think he will. I've got hope for him more than any of the other guys that we've talked about, save for Brian Courtney. I mean, again,
The offensive skills that kid has already.
yeah, really good. Marcus Dudley, thank you so much. Jeff, let the boy watch Julian Armella. I will continue to say that I am fine with starting Armella beginning with the Georgia Tech game. Now, I don't know if they will do that. You're saying you want him to watch and let him sit back and not play. I'd play him. I think he's different. I think 6'6", 320 is fine. He's got the requisite size and reach. He's got great feet, and he's mentally a tough sucker. And I've seen that for myself. A lot of kids at that position, you would never roll out there. You really wouldn't. I agree. But I think he's different, and so therefore I would make an exception for him.
Well, he's being taught at a different level as well, too.
Yeah, Atkins is a really good coach.
They've got, well, that yes, but he's on the 2 deep, which means, and this allows me to say this, when they're going through offensive line instruction, there are 2 groups. There is the introduction group, the 1,000 level class, and then there's the graduate course.
Right.
And Julian's already in the graduate course. That's where he's been working.
That's right, because they would like to play him.
Yeah. And sooner.
And
but a
soon.
lot of these freshmen
Yeah.
that everybody's asking about, what about Sapp?
Yeah,
and what
yeah,
about
yeah.
Early
No,
and
they're
Daughtry?
not in that group.
Those
right.
guys are in the introductory level
As they
course.
should be. Now they got great body types,
Yep,
all of them.
yep.
We're all excited about what they're going to be. Many of them will be that by next year. They're not ready now. The only one of those guys that I think you could play right now is Julian Armella.
He's closer. Every day he's getting closer. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Hesitation with that, but it's getting there.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think he's in, and like all of the younger players that we reference on the show, they're going to make some mistakes, but you're willing to live with those if the gain is so much more significant. And I think it's there. I think it is for him and maybe a couple of other guys. Not all of the young guys. Not all the young guys. I don't know that Sam McCall's ready.
The thing is, do you care about preserving Julian's red shirt?
Not really.
Okay. Well, that's got to be the first part of the decision because
Yeah.
he's been in 2 games, I want to say already. Duquesne, I think Boston College as well. So you only got 2 left if you care about the shirt. You could play to the Georgia Tech game and say, all right, we'll see.
You see what you are.
Yeah.
Let's get. He might go out and dominate.
It'd be interesting to see if he rotates. Now, if they do what they're supposed to do on paper and handle Georgia Tech, then he's going to play no matter what. But let's say it's 10-0 in the second quarter, 4th drive. You give him a chance in the 4th drive? I know Coach Cameron would, but I'm saying what would they do?
I don't know what they're to me, it does seem like no matter what I want, it does seem an awful lot like they're willing to basically redshirt him this year. Like they're not going to let him play more than those 4 games. Seems that way to me. Now, I may be wrong about that. He's ready and somebody's hurt. Right. That's all that is, right? Yeah, I think it is. So we'll see. By the way, I know they did that again, $250, 2 more closings for my boys, FSU Home Loans, FSUHomeLoans.com. Give them a call today, 844-FSU-LOAN. $500 went to Rising Spear today because they closed out 2 more. You guys hear me talk about it every day. Shannon Young doing a great job. Legendary Home Loans. They've got the Hometown Hero program that I talk about a lot, designed to make a difference to those that make a difference. You've heard it, but if you haven't, just in case, real quick, you save over $2,200 if you get a home loan through them and you are active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher. So if you are looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN. And with each loan, $250 goes to Rising Spear. And we can go buy a tight end. These home loans alone. Like I ready to play right now, tight end.
Nothing's off the table. Transfer portal, high school ranks, who cares?
No, we were having that debate yesterday about how much are we going to lose when this season ends.
Well, the next 5 games are going to help solve that a little bit.
Yeah, because, listen, I think Fabian, if he plays and he's the dominant player he can be, then he's gone. I guess Jared Verse could. Him being injured and missing time and not being anywhere near 100% when he has played the last 3 games is a bit of a problem for him, I think.
It also might be an incentive to say, look, let me get it while I can.
Get
I
some
see
money,
how
come back
fickle this
here.
thing is.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, this collective that has nothing to do with Florida State wants to
be very
give me a
interesting.
retention
I'm
bonus.
still, I mean, obviously, all of us will be watching very closely what happens with Jordan Travis and Jordan. Jordan's got to play really well if his aspirations are to go to the league in any way, shape, or form. He's already up against it with the measurables, so he's going to have to play great in these 5 games to have any chance to get drafted late. And even then, would that be a number that you'd be willing to leave here for? Or would the NIL, the collective, be able to come through with a number that's more than he could make on a practice squad somewhere?
Let's say he goes. You would definitely at least examine the transfer portal waters for a quarterback.
Of course.
Like, I mean, a high-level one that would come in to compete to
Well,
start.
if I could, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would have done it anyhow this offseason.
I agree.
But, there wasn't the guy that you could get that was the slam dunk better player than Jordan Travis. And so, therefore, at that point, you didn't want to risk having that kid decide, screw you, the second year in a row you've done this now, and you're bringing in a guy that's not even as good as me or has, certainly hasn't been here. So, I understand that. But if there was a kid that was accomplished at this level that you knew was definitively better than Jordan, yeah, I would have done it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting this spring. Like, I feel more comfortable, everybody does, after watching that second half of Louisville with Rodemaker as an option. I just don't want him to be the lead option. And look, Duffy's got to put in a lot of work to compete in the spring. I'll say that too.
Yeah, he's got
he looks calm as a cucumber when he's on the field playing the game, but there's really nothing he can do in terms of, he can't take the second job away from Tate at this point. But in spring, it's going to be go time, and he better be ready for that.
Yeah, and I think we forget how young he is, though. I mean, it takes a while sometimes. It really does. I mean, we've obviously seen it with Tate. It's taken too long, but that was a great moment for Tate. I don't know, the passing game, if they can block it up, passing game may take off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he throws.
AJ's got a lot of natural skills. It's just, the development, the whole thing.
It's all part of it. Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced. And while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you and thank me later.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn.
And Dr. Shannon Lord.
We are the dynamic duo at Finn Chiropractic, where we seek to get to the cause of your problem.
Whether you have neck pain, back pain, headaches, or any joint stiffness,
we've developed the Phenomenal Health Exam with some high-tech ways to get to the cause.
Our Phenomenal Health Exam will give the answers you need.
Get in for the Phenomenal Health Evaluation.
Visit our website at finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com.
Because your chiropractor loves you.
There's nothing you can do about it.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989, with offices now in Tallahassee. Fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
I don't know, long-lasting, durable. T-Spark Enterprises Roofing and Construction are the best in town at that, too. Give them a call today, 766-1340. Get a free quote today, tsparkconstruction.com. Would you want to be a tree guy? Like if you own the company or something, made a lot of money, but would you go up there and do all the cutting that you see those guys do?
No. In fact, the guy I have that did the work for us recently, great guy. He said, man, every day is pretty dangerous.
Little harrowing.
Yeah. So no, thank you. If that's what that person does for a living and he still has the look of, I don't know if today's going to be the last tree I cut.
Oh, buddy.
No, thanks.
Yeah. Noel Kev writes, I'm reading T. Lang and Jeff's eyes and trying to read between the lines as they're talking about Duffy. Laugh out loud. Tell us true. Is he a guy you see being a Sam Howell, a Sam Hartman, or a Malik Henry? No, he's not Malik Henry. He's certainly more engaged and he eats food. He cares to, he works on his body and all of that. He's a guy that he's got a ways to go because he's young. That's all I'll say about that. I think he has some ability. He's not a superstar like in the next year, but he could end up being a good quarterback.
Yeah,
he's got work to do though.
There's a lot of work. When you sign a quarterback at that level, blue chipper, and he does well in the elite game that he played in, and he was a star of whatever camp he was at towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
The way college football is now, you expect that dude to play by redshirt freshman year. It's just the nature of it. It used to be when I was growing up, and certainly in your time in college, Florida State would hand it off to a fourth-year player. Redshirt junior would be your quarterback every year. And he's got to get tightened up. They're throwing a lot at him. So what Mike has said is he's handled more complex things than any young quarterback that Norvell has dealt with. So that's fair. The other fair thing is he's not getting a lot of great reps because you got to make sure that Jordan and Tate are ready. He's getting reps, but I'm talking about the players around him. We've got kind of 2 offensive lines that can work in day-to-day practice, but he's got to rotate in and fill the gaps. And then the other thing is, the best thing I'll say is when you saw him in limited action on the field, it didn't look like it was too fast for him. So these are all good things. But detail-wise, this job's not just going to be handed to Duffy in the spring. When you get a recruit like that, you think, oh, that's going to be his job. You got to go out there and earn it, and Tate is better now. And then if they go get a guy in the transfer portal, you're going to have to go out there and prove it. and we'll
I
see.
think I still have hope for Tate Rodemaker, Tom. Everybody can talk about AJ Duffy. I'll let Duffy take over the reins in 2024 or something like that. I don't need him next year. I need him to be ready to play. But if Jordan's not here next year, I think Tate Rodemaker could really play. He's got a chance to be a pretty good player.
I think after that second half at Louisville, that by itself, and who knows, he might be called upon. It's a 5-game stretch here.
I hope
with
not,
no break,
unless we're beating somebody's ass.
Right. It's just with Jordan's track record, you would think maybe he might be called on for a couple of drives here. If that continues, that trend, then he's the leader in the clubhouse going into spring, and that should be fair.
Yeah, I want to do this, by the way, because I think it's interesting to get a perspective of a fan. Mark wrote, Jordan will stay for 2023, and we could compete for a national championship. See, I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way at all. I think that Jordan could stay for 2023, and Florida State could be a good football team. But when you start talking about competing for national championships, I don't think we're that close to competing for a national championship. We're talking about trying to win 8 games right now. To go from 8 games to winning a national championship tells me that you think that if he stays and we continue to develop and play well, we're the kind of team that the following year could beat on a neutral field Ohio State, could beat on a neutral field Alabama, could beat on a neutral field Georgia. I don't think so. Go look at the talent surplus at Georgia, for example.
You don't have to, you know it.
No, but I'm saying, it's not really that close. When you watch Georgia, you go, whoa. And the thing is, it doesn't mean we can't get there in relatively soon. It's just that we're not making that kind of leap. Look at our secondary right now. Look at our linebackers right now. I'm talking about the depth. I'm talking about the depth of these segment groups. Come on, man. It's not that close.
Omarion Cooper's been bad, and he still is one of the guys that's consistently on the field. Now, you could look at that and say, what are we doing here? You wouldn't rather make mistakes with somebody who's younger? It's not that Omarion's old, but he's shown you what he is for now.
We're just not.
But we could compete if he comes back and let's say Verse stays as well. 2 huge pieces to the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
It could be competing for a college football playoff berth, no doubt.
Next year?
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been on the table last weekend if you had beaten NC State. Because you'd have the inside track, assuming Wake is going to slip up somewhere along the way. They already have the 1 loss. You would have the inside track to be the Atlantic representative, at which point you'd be in the conversation for a college football playoff. You were that close with this team as flawed as this team is.
Okay, but let's do the thing where we actually look at teams and say, who's competing for a title? Not could you
It's a different conversation.
It is,
Yeah.
but I mean, we do this in Major League Baseball. GMs always have these tough decisions. Now, I know the pool has gotten bigger, so now the decisions are different. But there's a team every year traditionally that is 8 games above 500, and they know damn well they're not good enough to sustain it through 162 games and win a World Series. They don't have it. They've won a larger percentage of 1-run games than they have a right to, and they've gotten a career performance from some guy on the back end or something like that, right? But they know, we're not there yet. So should I trade away a piece to be ready to make a run at it next year? That kind of thing. I don't know. Right now, and this is a better season for college football from a fan's perspective than we've had in a long time, because last year when you watch Georgia, you're like, oh man, it's not even close. And Georgia, I know they had the game, they lost to Alabama, but they had to get a jail-free card. We knew that, I love that team going into last year. I picked them to win the national title, and they did. But when you watch the receiving core, for example, of Ohio State, what they would do to our secondary, sir.
Yeah, what I would argue here, though, again, is...
What do you think Bryce Young would do to our secondary?
I'm not talking about competing to win a national title. I'm talking about competing for a playoff.
Well, we'd be the team getting that ass beating that Notre Dame gets, or that Michigan State gets, or that somebody else gets that somehow finds their way into that damn
correct
team
but
tournament.
That is incredible improvement and within reach.
Yeah.
You could be one of those teams. And plus, what I'd say is this year, the parity is absurd. Texas would have thrown for 450, 500 yards in Alabama.
And I said that I think this is a better year for college football because of it. But we're not in that conversation. We're 4-3. We're 4-3.
Yep.
We just lost 3 straight. We just lost to an NC State team without an offense. we're hoping that they go 4-1 over these remaining 5 games. Look who the 5 games are against. Those aren't good teams, and we're not sure we can get that done.
What's our record with Fabian, though, at this point? 5-2, 6-1? 5-2, definitely. 6-1, likely? The point is, to be in that conversation, we're not that far away. If you get a couple of key pieces back next year,
we have to be markedly improved on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be
to compete for a national title. Again, I think you're judging by the gold standard of winning a title.
But I'm also judging by personnel. I'm looking at players. I'm talking about, do you have a depth of talent to survive the rigors of a 12-game schedule, a conference championship game, and then a playoff? Do you have the talent to do that? And I don't think we're that close, because if a guy like Fabian Lovett misses time, you immediately see the drastic difference it makes on the defensive line. You know as well as I do that when Tatum Bethune got hurt and he couldn't play to that standard he was playing at before with the shoulder, I mean, he's been like this. He's been a little up and down, and Kalen DeLoach has been good, but you don't really have anybody behind those two. Those 2 guys are your 2 guys. Everybody else is whatever. They're not great players behind them at all.
We're in agreement here.
Okay.
I'm
and
just
then your corners are below average, and your safeties are below average right now. Well, at least one of them really is.
You can have below average corners and safeties and still make the playoff. Alabama still has a shot this year to do so.
I have a suspicion
you can have a below average offense.
If we were to watch Alabama's corners and safeties practice next to our corners and safeties, we'd be in awe of the difference.
That's immaterial, because Texas was in a position to put up a ton of yards, and Texas is
in that game
up and down. This past weekend, I mean, I understand that Hooker is now going to be, rightfully so, in the Heisman conversation.
He's probably leading the way right now.
But that's still Alabama. It's the unbeatable Alabama.
No, but okay, so they are beatable this year quite clearly, and that's why we're both agreeing that football has been better this season than most, because in the past it's actually been quite boring. There have been 3 good teams, and everybody else has got no chance. I agree with you. It's better. But I'm not suddenly prepared to take us and throw us into that group of, 6? I don't think we're there. 7 teams that you think could win a national championship this year?
No, again.
Or get to the playoff?
Get to the playoff.
No, man. We survived Louisville barely. They're not any good at all. We barely survived LSU. We know that. We saw how that game ended. We lost to NC State, who's terrible now because they don't have an offense at all. Wake came in here and beat us by 10?
Yeah.
Okay, man. Where do we think Wake is on that of the schools that could make a playoff? I just don't.
Well, if they handled Clemson, they'd be in the driver's seat.
But they didn't. And moreover, I don't think that Florida State has the depth of talent. If you're telling me my starting 22 stays healthy for the entirety of a season, could they win the Atlantic and thus, by definition, compete for a conference championship and maybe get into the playoff? Okay, I will give you that, but they wouldn't be competitive in that playoff.
I'll take it, though. That's all I'm talking about.
I think that the spirit of that question suggests that he thinks we're very close to being a college football playoff team, and I don't.
I redirected it because somebody's got to be there. That's what this year feels like more than a lot of others. Somebody's got to be there. I mean, Georgia's struggling with Mizzou on the road, and Kent. Clemson can't score 40 on Furman. And Alabama could lose again this weekend. They could have lost to Texas A&M, Texas. Mississippi State matches up poorly for Alabama, especially in the spot coming off the game against Tennessee. It's just it feels closer to being in that conversation because of
it feels
the
closer
field
than it was
of
a
college
year
football
ago,
teams.
Sure.
And then also, look, I mean, we get a couple of bounces go your way. Injury luck isn't rotten, and it's just mediocre for Florida State. You could be in a position where that's still on the table right now. Unlikely, but on the table.
From a player standpoint, from a strength of depth and talent standpoint, I feel like we would say, and I'm just going to go off the top of my head here. It's a fun discussion. We know Ohio State world's better than we are. You think Michigan's world's better than we are?
I'm not sure. They're better, but
maybe not worlds. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Georgia,
very light.
Georgia certainly is. It's not close.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not close, right?
But that Georgia team is capable of blowing a game nearly to Mizzou. So
they are.
They got it in them.
Yes, in a singular game they do. But we don't think from a talent standpoint that it's even close. Tennessee's more talented than we are. Because remember, they were buying players. That's how their coach got fired. They have a lot of good players.
That game would be a race to 49. Yeah.
Well, we'd give it up. That's for sure. With this secondary going against those receivers.
Yeah. Might be able to run it down their throat. Who knows?
We might. It might be a shootout. I wouldn't disagree with you there. I'm just naming undefeated teams right now. TCU's undefeated. I think they're a good team. That'd be an interesting game.
That's a hell of a win last week after what they were facing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, hell, Syracuse undefeated. We're gonna get our chance against them. We'll see. Clemson's unbeaten. They just came in here and beat us.
The point is, you're reading down a lot of these teams. We would be
laughed
out of the room.
Undefeated teams. That's all.
We would be laughed out of the room to even have this conversation a year ago, and now it is at least.
Southern Cal would beat us. Yeah, they would. Do you think Texas would beat us?
With Ewers, we'd have to score into the upper 30s, lower 40s. You got to stop being idiots in situations here. You got to get better. But it's not laughable anymore to at least field the conversation. You think it is? Okay.
I don't think it's laughable. I'm just trying to be a realist about where we are in the rebuild. We're a lot better than we were. We're moving in the right direction. We're going to be a pretty damn good team. I think by the end of this year, we're going to be a pretty good team. And you can say a team is good and not think that they're ready to make the college football playoff. As long as we're moving in that direction, I'm happy. Just continue to move in that direction. We can debate about, the nuance of this. We can say, well, are we 2 years away, 3 years away, 1 year away? I get we can debate that.
Yeah, the increased parity of the sport is helping where I'm coming from here. It's
Without
not
question.
solely about Florida State. This is also about the field. And we said this after 3 weeks of the season, which is, why not us? I mean, it looks like nobody really wants to take the ball and run with it here this season.
No, it's exciting to watch that some of this is starting to disperse. Like, it's not just the very tippy top of the sport and that we have no business there right now. It's starting, and hopefully it continues to move in that direction.
Well,
what you want to see is that.
Yeah, it's COVID eligibility plus transfer portal for veteran help.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, when the COVID eligibility thing runs out, how much
Do
is
we go
this
back
still
to where we've
watered
been?
down, or is it? Yeah, do you go back to where you've been? Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I'm picking us to win 4 of the next 5. I think there's a good chance we win all 5. So I do think we're a lot better. I don't want people to get the wrong idea about the debate we're having. I think we're a lot better. I just don't think we're that close to being a playoff contender. I get why you say, why not us?
Well, okay, just for a moment, it's a hypothetical. Let's say you're not, a bunch of jerks in the second half of the NC State game. You win that. You're 5-2. And you win the remaining 5 games. So you're 10-2 for the season. I know. Be remarkable.
No, I mean, they could. Yeah.
Wouldn't you reflect on the season and go, man, if a couple of things bounced our way, we'd be in Charlotte for the ACC championship. And I don't know.
Yeah, I would lament that there
we could be the fraud at the table, but we'd be at that table.
Yeah, but what we talk about a lot is that, okay, where are they? Where is Florida State elite? And it's hard to pick a place anywhere on the field where Florida State's elite. In fact, there isn't one. There isn't a place on the field that Florida State's elite. And I feel like with the teams that win the national championship or have a chance to get to the college football playoff and play for it, you can find segment groups where you're like, that's upper 2% in the country. And we don't have that segment group.
Correct. And to be clear, I see a comment in the chat saying, I'll have what Tom's having. Look, there's a fraud at the college football playoff every year. That's the argument I'm making.
That's true, yes.
I'm not saying that we...
And you're
Mark's
saying we're good enough
is,
to be that.
We're good enough to be... Yes. Next year, if you get a couple of key pieces to return and you do what you've done, which is show a great track record of bringing in immediate help in the transfer portal, that also fits your culture. Not easy to do. But if you replicate those 2 things, we could be that fraud.
Well, so your offensive line... This is where I will say, okay, it could get very interesting. This offensive line's got some talented young players behind the starters. I think Estes is going to be a very good offensive lineman. I think you would have been a pretty good offensive line, not just above average, but pretty good had you not had the injuries. Like Bless Harris starting at right tackle instead of Jazz would have made a significant difference because you could have moved Jazz to guard.
Or rotate him during the game.
Right,
and you get, 30, 40 good reps out of both him and Manuel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would have made a difference. But, ifs, ands, and buts and all that. But it didn't happen. But I think we're close to seeing what I would describe as a good offensive line. Well, now, if you start there, we're having a better conversation because that changes everything about what's possible. And we run the ball now with an average-ass offensive line.
Correct.
So I like the way we scheme that up. I love Atkins as a teacher and a coach and a play designer. Love him. I think that Mike does a good job of preparing and game planning. Now, we get into the discussion of red zone cutesiness and all that stuff. That's a fair criticism. Some of the moments have been a little big for him as he tries to mature as a coach, and that's annoying, but maybe he's getting it out of his system as well. That back end has got to get a hell of a lot better on defense because it's not any good. And I'm tired of watching it week in and week out and year out. They don't know how to communicate well. They're not good in zone. It's 3 freaking years we've been waiting for them to get decent in a zone. We have to play a certain way or we can't play. That you cannot beat good teams being as vanilla as we are on defense with what we do. So that all has to get better. It might. Maybe as A. Thomas and Sam McCall and Shaheem Brown, those guys become the difference makers in a year or two. Maybe.
Need a bounce back year from Noles as well.
He's been terrible.
He's been wearing the green jersey a lot this year. It's annoying, but it's hard to sift through for a lot of these players. Is it because you're banged up? Is it because you regressed? Combination of the two? And if so, if it's a combination, what percentage of what?
Yeah, and I hate when I do this sometimes, and I'm guilty of it, so I'll admit it. I shouldn't question other people's toughness, but I'd like us to be tougher. I feel like we spend a little time on the ground. It's a tough game. We'll see. I'm not saying that certain guys aren't really, really hurt. There have been guys that are truly hurt. I know Fabian Lovett is hurt without question because he's a dog, and he would be out there. And I know Verse is hurt, and he's playing hurt. He's tough. You got some guys that linger.
Yeah. In the end, what this is doing, though, is it at least accelerates the growth curve for a Joshua Farmer and a Patrick Payton. If you're looking at this as a long-term process, and this year it would have been
just a 2 or 3 year process, right?
Right. Just meaning, you're looking at the 23, 24 seasons, and you were hoping that you could be in contention this year and say, how the hell did we get here? Which that 3-game stretch would have yielded that opportunity for you. But with all of these bumps, bruises, and injuries, Peyton's going to be a better player for it in camp next year.
Yes, he is.
In August and September next year.
I like him a lot. Yeah, and he's going to put on size and strength, and he's already got quickness.
Same thing with Farmer. You probably need to hit the portal for another guy.
Yep, maybe 2 guys.
Maybe 2. But Farmer's a good start.
Let's dole out the cash.
Lions behind him is a good start. Bishop Thomas continues to have good practices as well.
I'm going to answer this question, and then we got to take a quick break. Noel Kev writes, where does Jeff think we finished the year at? 8-4, 9-3. What's that? Top 15, top 20, top 4 get in. Question is, can we make up 15 to 20 spots next year? Yeah. So no, Kev, I do think I am bullish on the remaining 5 games. I actually do think that we're fully capable of winning 4 of the next 5. It would not, we could win all 5. And I said earlier that I wouldn't be stunned by that. But let's give them some wiggle room because you are playing a road game against an arch rival in Miami, and you are playing a road game against a Syracuse team that's proven to be a good team this year. And really, statistically speaking, they are a good football team. So I'm going to have to give them their props until I see something otherwise. That'll be a tough game for us to win. So I'm not saying you have to win all of them. You could lose one of those. You ought not, from what I've seen from Florida up to this point, you ought not lose at home here to Florida. You sure as hell ain't going to lose to Louisiana. You better not. And you're not going to lose to Georgia Tech. So it's those 2 games, and I'm going to give you a split. I give you the wiggle room for a split. That's 4-1. That means you're 8-4. 8-4 is a good season. I'll be happy with it. We'll go to a nice bowl, and we'll have some momentum. And then I think we're probably another year after the next away from saying, okay, now let's dig in here and see if we can't make a run into for a conference championship. Because if you win a conference championship, you're probably going to the playoff, depending on records of other teams.
Or what conference it is. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But that's the other part of this equation where it's easy to do this. This is where it's fun because we love the sport. If you took Florida State and dropped them in the west of the SEC, how good would you feel about our chances to compete at a high level there? Not good.
After seeing the way that we ran with this offensive line against Clemson, I feel better than I have in a long, long time about long-term projections of what we can be. If you can run like that on that defense, that program, with this offensive line, more helps on the way at that particular position.
Because you'd have to beat Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Alabama, Texas A&M, Auburn, LSU.
Yeah.
Well, we beat LSU. Auburn's interesting, by the way. Watching them in the game last week, I mean, I'd like to think they're dysfunctional and we could beat them, but they are very physical in the run game. That'd be interesting. I'm not assuming we would beat Auburn because of it.
I feel better about A&M than Mississippi State matchups. Styles make fights. If you can run on Clemson's front, that's a good indicator.
Yeah. Come back, wrap it up. Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Tallahassee Police Department has stated that the human remains found Monday near Appalachia Parkway are believed to be Jason Winokur. A group of individuals discovered skeletal remains in the area of the 2600 block of Appalachia Parkway. The 3 individuals found the remains while searching for artifacts in the woods as a hobby. The location where the remains were found is less than half a mile from Winokur went missing. He was last seen on August 17th of 2021. He was staying in the Spring Hill Suites and walked out of his hotel room at 1 a.m. He was in Tallahassee dropping off his daughter at college. A search was initiated at the time in the wooded area where his remains were found, but he was not located. The Less Fortunate Still Matters Foundation is packing up an 18-wheeler full of donations and headed back to South Florida for the second time. On October 6th, the organization brought over 20,000 bottles of water plus other supplies, helping over 3,000 hurricane victims, and they are at it again. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Bright sunshine expected today with a high of 65. North winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet again tonight. Lows dip down to about 37. Ample sunshine expected tomorrow. Highs level off around 69. Sunny skies and calm Friday with daytime highs approaching 74. 80 Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 43.
Hi, this is the legendary Mary Bush Smith inviting you to tune in every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 o'clock a.m. for Sunday Morning Gospel. We'll feature our sponsor, TLC Chiropractor, Dr. Gregory Eisman, 850-222-5700.
Your next chance to win $1,000 is coming up at 3 p.m. Don't miss your chance to shake the 93.3 money tree and see what pulls out. Planted by the law offices of Facet Brooks. Come back stronger with Facet Brooks.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We can talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
The pros, Fast Russ, Kyler, I could see him backing up one of those style of offenses and getting a chance, but not a lockdown starter. Number 2 bowl game, give me Penn State, Kentucky, UCLA. Jordan is in a better position in today's game than he would have been 10 years ago, without question. And that is a good thing for him. And I root for him to be able to make a roster. There are some quarterbacks in that league that defy logic in many cases. When you look around the league, you're like, that guy's still in the league? He's a bum. So Jordan could, and it's all relative, of course. He's not a bum, but amongst the quarterbacks that play in the league. So Jordan could make a roster. I don't know that it's a sure thing right now, and that's why we talk about him being a very interesting NIL case.
So here's where I take off the Nole hat and put on the brutal NFL hat.
Yeah.
Because this is what you got to do with this kind of question. Fragile Jalen Hurts. That's the comp. He's a fragile Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
With more upside with the arm. Jalen hadn't shown as much, I think, in terms of pro-style throws
in college,
as Jordan has his last 2 months. I mean, there's a lot to like there. The running ability is outstanding, but you're telling me that if you've got an NFL linebacker bearing down on him, no, it's a fragile Jalen Hurts. There's a chance, but I'm not going to spend anything in the first 2 days, not even close.
No, that's why I said he's maybe a draftable quarterback, maybe. If he keeps getting bigger, comes back for another season,
right?
Maybe. Our friends at Tallulah sponsor the segment, of course. Go by there and get you one of the good juices. And I don't mean a freaky deaky juice. I mean a juice that gives you a little bit of energy, makes you feel good, calms your nerves. It's all beautiful. They got a kind of juice for everything. It's all plant extract, good stuff, CBD, not all THC. And soon I will be floating. And then I will have to tell you all about the float.
Yeah, this is the bye week. Are you doing
This is the week I was supposed to do it, and I haven't done it yet. Maybe I can get in there on Friday. I think it's a good idea.
Oh, he's resolved it.
Yeah,
you can see
I
that,
think
folks. That look
that's probably going to happen. Yeah,
let's lock it up.
Let's do this thing.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching probables.
All right, so at 4:35, we've got Phillies Padres. Phillies lead the series 1-0. Aaron Nola and Blake Snell. Is that right?
That sounds right.
That is right, yeah. Ooh, that's
a good matchup for the Phillies.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Nola so far in the postseason is 2-0 with a 0 ERA and 12 Ks.
I probably would have flipped if I could Musgrove as soon as I could get him into the rotation.
Yankees Astros at 7:30 tonight. Jamison Taillon and Justin Verlander is your starter for the Astros. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bubble. All right, go home, watch a little baseball, have that segue into a Wednesday night football game, and do I got the golf show tonight, so I've got a little work to do.
With 28 seconds left, I just want to thank you, Darvish, for helping me cash a prize picks last night. I had the over on his 5.5 strikeouts. It was at 6.5 and 6. I got it at 5.5, along with Steph Curry's point.
I had Steph Curry as well as, unfortunately, Shipley's 70-plus yards, and so I, too, cashed. Good work out of you. Good work, Director Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a great day and night. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Redemption Thursday.